Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. We're going to have a look at whether the next 10 to 14 days for today's second video, day 10, is going to take us to the 2nd of January. We'll be able to extend out beyond that. We're going to say GFS and ECM ensembles and may run to around a couple of weeks. We're going to have a look at CFS for the next 4 weeks, which is going to get us into the second half of January, of course. I should get on that for you in a moment. Just say that first video is our 7 AM upload, so please check out that video if you'd like to do that. No excellent European outlook today. It's Christmas week, so I'm having a little bit of a break, scaling back some of the videos, the additional videos, the add-ons. So we're still doing 7 AM broadcasts and the 10 to 14 day, but all of the extracurricular stuff like USA forecast, European outlooks, all that sort of thing. Just on back burner this week, everything back to normal next week. Talking about the schedule, just to say that we're going to pause the long range for the time being. So there are not going to be any updates for spring, and there won't be a spring forecast for the GavsWeatherVids either. We're going to have a little bit of a break on the long range, going to pause the long range and see how the winter forecast performs. So I know that'll be a little bit disappointing to some of you, but they're the least rated actually out of all of the long range updates. So I thought it's a time, to have a little bit of a pause on the long range seasonal output, and just have a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a review about what's happening and whatnot. So yeah, no spring updates, no spring forecasts this year. Hopefully we'll get the long range back for the summer updates, but of course we'll see about that. Right, okay, thank you so much, everybody. Right, let's have a look then, shall we, at what's going on in the stratosphere over the Arctic and over the North Pole. So here we go then. I've been talking about this over the past couple of days. We have got a very slight warming of the stratosphere over Siberia at the moment, but we've got these dark blue and purple colours over the Arctic and the North Pole itself. Those are the cold temperatures to 10 HPA. So yeah, we've got a very cold stratosphere at the moment over the Arctic and the North Pole. But there is a little bit of a disconnect actually between the stratosphere and the troposphere. Normally, when you have a temperature that cold at 10 HPA over the North Pole, you'll re-ramp up the polar vortex. I'm not sure the polar vortex has been overly strong, really, over the past week or two, to be honest. And there have been quite a bit of cold weather into the Northern Hemisphere via Northern blocking. More about that in a second. But anyway, we've got a cold stratospheric temperature at 10 HPA at the moment. We are looking at quite a significant warming of the stratosphere taking place into the beginning of January. But GFS 6Z, latest GFS run, is actually increasing the temperature over Siberia even more than yesterday. It's added around 4 degrees on by the time you get through to the 5th of January on this particular GFS 6Z run. So we're going to around minus 12. Bear in mind that again is over Siberia. It's not over the North Pole, and it isn't yet reaching the required sort of temperature threshold to be considered sudden stratospheric warming. So it's like a minor warming of the stratosphere, but it's quite significant. Where we're starting off right now over Siberia is around there, so we're around minus 14. In about a week's time we've gone up to around minus 12, so that's quite a significant increase in the temperature over Siberia, but not yet penetrating into the North Pole. That's up to the 5th of January. Let's see what happens after that then. So we find that that warming continues to sit over Siberia for a couple of days. When it tries to have a go at sort of penetrating in to the North Pole, it does actually to some degree, but sort of fades out as it does so. It does kind of displace the coldest temperatures though, which is where the polar vortex is at roost, kind of displaces it more towards Greenland and the Canadian American side of the Arctic. Then we get another bite at the cherry berries to get up into the second week of January as a second warming begins to take place, albeit that one at the moment isn't becoming as intense as like the first warming. This first one we need to keep an eye on, but it's quite a significant increase in the temperature over Siberia. If the GFS were to continue increasing this on a day-by-day basis, it's possible that might reach, quite a significant warming in the end. But we'll wait and see where it all goes anyway. And I think what this is telling us though, even if this doesn't reach a sudden stratospheric warming type level and push into the North Pole, which I don't think it will, but this is kind of telling us, I think, that this is already occurring, that this winter will have a sudden stratospheric warming at some point. We are expecting it due to the strength of the EC phase of the quasi-Siberian oscillation and other factors. So, yeah, I think, if you want to send a traffic one, it's probably an encouraging sign that we will get one at some point for this winter. But when it occurs, remains to be seen. They do become more common the further into the winter you go. But we shall see anyway. We'll keep a close eye on stratospheric developments over the next few days and weeks. Of course we will. Right, this is how the Arctic oscillation is looking. So this is what I was talking about a moment ago. Despite the cold temperatures that we currently have at 10 HPA, and let's go back to it. There it is, over the North Pole, around minus 80 or so. Despite that, we've actually got a negative AO at the moment. So there's obviously that tells us that there's blocking going on over the Arctic. So when you have such a cold stratospheric temperature, you tend to think that there will be a strong polar vortex, and lots of low pressure over the North Pole. But clearly we must have blocking as the AO is currently in negative territory. So there is a disconnect at the moment. It has been for most of December between what's happening in the stratosphere and what's happening in the troposphere at the moment. But anyway, we find that at the moment, so the black line shows we've been with the AO, red lines at the end where GFS ensembles are forecasting Arctic oscillation to go. So at the moment, we're strongly negative with the AO. There must be a fair amount of high pressure blocking over pole, therefore. And we keep the AO in negative territory into the beginning of January as well. Maybe a few hints, so as we go further on into January, we might start to trend the AO into more positive territory, but most of the GFS ensemble members are either keeping the AO negative or have it around neutral. So yeah, just sort of entered like an extended period of negativity of the Arctic oscillation. But as I always say, that just gives you half of the story. The other half of the story is where the high pressure and blocking is sitting. Because if one area is on the warm side of blocking, somewhere else is going to be, or if one area is on the cold side of blocking, somewhere else is going to be on the warm side of blocking. And what's happened for us in the UK is that we have found ourselves on the mild side of the blocking, especially famously, and it'll be remembered for a long time, up to and over Christmas. The NAO is looking like this. Again, this is measuring air pressure between Iceland and the Azores. The moment the NAO is around neutral, looks like around New Year, it's actually going to trend negative, but despite that, it will be very mild. Then into early January, probably lifting up neutral to weakly positive, I think, through the first week to 10 days or so of January. So from an index perspective, it seems quite interesting that particularly the AO is negative. We haven't got a particularly strong NAO, but despite that, we are going to be in for a really warm, really mild and actually quite warm New Year. Central temperature is looking like this, still standing at 5.9, where it's been stuck for several days. That's 1.2 degrees above average. That's provisional to the 27th. That is going to lift up with warm weather over the next few days, and we're thinking that with downwards corrections, it's going to finish up around 6.5 degrees. So another significantly warmer than average December. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks, the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London, starting off close to or slightly above average at the moment. But it's really from like tomorrow onwards through to New Year that those temperatures really get a rocket boosters added to them and properly lift up. We could well be seeing temperatures like on New Year's Eve around 15 or 16 degrees, maybe a degree or so higher than that. We could well be breaking, I don't think we're going to break the all-time December record, which is over 18 degrees. We're going to struggle to do that. I think it's possible we might do. But I think it's definitely going to break the date record for New Year's Eve, which is around 15 degrees. We may do the same on New Year's Day as well. So a very, very, very warm end to 2021 and start 2022. There is quite a significant drop in temperature taking place there now through the first week of January. Not going particularly cold, but from like the very warm start from there to around there, clearly there is quite a significant drop in temperature that takes place. Some of the ensemble members are going quite cold through the first week of January as well, and they're, at the coldest end of the range. So I think it might be just, say, getting cooler through the first week of January. It might involve a cold snap, at some point through the first week for a day or two, but I don't think we're going to get any sustained really cold weather through that first week of January. Maybe a little bit later on in the month, but not through the first week of the month. But certainly cooling down anyway from the very, very warm New Year. And then it's going on into the second week of January, quite close to average, but there is a lot of scatter within there. We've got warm ensemble members up here, we've got cold ensemble members down there, and some of them are light, warm, and cold at different points, like the GFS operational run, for example, midnight operational run, which at one point is the warmest ensemble member out of all ensemble members for that period, around the 9th of January, but by sort of the 11th, 12th, 13th of January has gone to one of the coldest ensemble members. So there's a lot of variation going on within those ensemble members, including from the operational run. And precipitation-wise, just not quite unsettled, really. There is going to be a drier few days around the New Year as it turns exceptionally mild. And then the rainfall comes back as we go through the first week of January. This is for London. Let's just have a look at sea level pressure, see what that's doing. We've not done this since before Christmas, so we want to go to midnight runs. I don't think the GFS ensembles will be fully updated. So starting off with very low pressure at the moment, 990 millibars. We're going to go to 1020 millibars around the New Year. And then keeping pretty high pressure going, actually, like through to the first week and into the second week of January. But that does, again, mask a lot of up and down that's going on. So it looks like we get some quite low pressure around there. Then perhaps we go back to some higher pressure there, and then maybe down to lower pressure again down there. So within the ensemble members, there is quite a bit of variation that's going on. Let's have a look at 2 meter temperatures as well. We can do that, and we can see the cooling trend that's coming up through the first week of January as well. So we're starting off mild at the moment. We're going to go exceptionally mild over the New Year, going to around 14 degrees. With that, may even go a little bit higher. From around the 3rd of January onwards, we get this drop in the temperature taking place, going back much closer to average. Though, again, there's a lot of scatter within that. So we've got these cold ensemble members down here, some of them going down to frost levels, and we've got these very mild ensemble members up there. But I think we can clearly see there is a cooling trend that's taking place through the first week of January after an exceptionally mild start. And in terms of snow, see if there's anything shown up on the snow row. So definitely not going to be any snow over the New Year with such warm temperatures, no snow spikes whatsoever. Not much really, even as we go further on through the first week of January. But maybe by the second week of January, we might start to see a few snow spikes beginning to appear then. But of course, that is extended range and therefore very unreliable. I'm so sorry, everyone. It would be a Gav video without a cough. Temperature anomalies from the 28th of December to 5th of January are going to be warmer now, not just the UK, but through most parts of Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies from 28th of December to 5th of January. A little bit wetter than average in the northwest, otherwise rather on the drier than outside. So very mild, if not quite warm and dry over New Year. Latest wind flow map from earthnullschool.net shows those long fetch southwesterlies are waiting. At the moment, we're in like a mild, just sort of bog standard mild westerly type thing. But look what's coming if we drag this up a little bit. Look where the air is going to be originating from tomorrow. So from tomorrow onwards, you can see that's where the warm front is going to be, just there. So from tomorrow onwards, we're bringing up the air from here, right? Bringing up the air from Bermuda. And, whoops, I didn't want to move that, from Bermuda, and, like, south of the Canary Islands. There's the Canary just there, Azores are around there, and the air's coming from south of the Azores. So this is a very, 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 very long fetch southwesterly. When we talk about a long fetch southwesterly, I mean, it doesn't get much more of a longer fetch southwesterly than that. Let's pull this around a little bit more, maybe. And yeah, so look how far southwest this is coming from. So it's coming from down here somewhere, which is absolutely, you know, in the tropics virtually. So that's the reason we're going to be really increasing the temperature a lot. You know, we're really going to push that temperature up a lot tomorrow. The air is going to be coming from a very, very, very long way south of the Atlantic, and that will carry on into the new year as well. Cold easterly northerly winds there up to the north. They're still up here and being kept at bay for the time being by those warm winds in the Atlantic. Always fascinating to have a look at these charts, isn't it, from UrbNorthSchool.net. I love these. Right, let's start going through some chart data. I'm so sorry, but I'm off on a tangent, really, but I love those charts. Right, so this is another way of looking at how long fetch southwesterly is going to be. So this is for midnight on New Year's Eve, and the southwesterly kind of going down to here, almost off the chart, really, with the isobars. Pushing in that direction, so exceptionally long fetch southwesterly coming up, clearly in the next few days. Right, so that's New Year's Eve with UK Met Euro, dragging up that really warm long fetch southwesterly, and that carries on to New Year's Day as well. So New Year is definitely going to be very, very mild, if not warm. Then this low pressure is in off the Atlantic on the 2nd of January. That's going to be active. It will bring heavy rain and strong winds with it, and then that one will cool things down. As that pushes through, you start to turn wind into more of a westerly. That's a drop in the temperature, therefore back towards average, that takes place, around the 3rd of January to cut off that long fetch southwesterly wind. The low pressure then moves in towards Norway, bringing a renewed blast of cold air to Scandinavia. And we go to like a northwesterly to slightly northerly by a week out. This has been done on the 4th of January, which will feel a lot colder, that actually. If that comes up, that's going to feel a lot colder compared to like over the new year. We're probably taking around 10 to 15, 10 Celsius off the temperature, probably going from around 16 to 6 degrees. And in north, a little bit colder than that, actually. So probably kind of for a few snow showers into northern and east Scotland. It's something to get excited about, but I mean, it will feel more seasonal after the balmy and bizarre New Year weather. Right, so that's UK Met data, as far as we go with that one. Let's have a look at ICON then. We are now including ICON in our model roundup on the 10 to 14 days, and also we use ICON now for our 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. upload as well. Interestingly, I decided to change that from GFS, so we now use ICON for that as well, because it did cover itself, in more glory than all the other models before Christmas. So I thought, let's give it the recognition it deserves. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. Right, ICON looks like this on New Year's Eve, dragging up that very mild southwesterly wind. That southwesterly to almost southerly wind carries on to New Year's Day as well. It's going to be really mild New Year. Certainly no New Year 78, 79 this year. The wait goes on for a New Year blizzard. Right, 2nd of January, just moving that low pressure in, cutting off an exceptionally mild southwesterly, beginning to bring in just a more standard mild westerly type flow, and then that carries on to the early part of next week. Remember, this low pressure sort of dives in from the northwest. As that pushes through again, similar to UK Met, turns the wind into rather colder north or northeast. So by the end of the ICON midnight run, which gets us to the 4th of January, the low pressure there is sitting between East Anglia and the Low Countries, and we're pulling in this pretty cold northeast wind. That might drag in some wintry showers to eastern parts of the country, depending on how cold the air mass is. Let's have a look at the upper air temperatures, shall we? See what they're doing. Notice the very cold upper air temperatures back in over Scandinavia again. So not cold enough wintry showers in the southeast with below, but probably cold enough wintry showers across Scotland. And if that northeast was to carry on for another day, we'll probably start getting some wintry showers a little bit further south as well. But the real cold is still up there over Scandinavia and northeastern Europe. So although things are going to get less cold over Scandinavia, in the next few days over New Year, the cold air does come back for those of you in Scandinavia. The cold northern European, the cold Nordic winter, that continues by the look of it after a brief interruption over New Year. Right, GFS midnight run again, southwest winds pumping up that really mild, if not warm air over the New Year, and then we push a low pressure through around the 2nd of January, and that turns us into a slightly more sensible, sort of milder type westerly, a little bit of a northwesterly there on Tuesday, not as much as ICON is showing, and then high pressure starts to ridge back up from the southwest as we go into towards day 10. So that turns into mainly dry in the south, still unsettled in the north. It's still quite mild, nowhere near as mild as it is over New Year, just generally standard sort of mild weather with that. In the extended range, we take that high pressure event away to the northwest. We pull in this cold northerly wind. I'm not sure how seriously we take this, but the GFS midnight run was to set up a mid-Atlantic ridge, move it towards Greenland, and pull down a cold northerly plunge in the extended range, so becoming much colder through the second week of January with the GFS midnight run. GFS 6Z looks like that, long fetch southwesterly wind on New Year's Eve, carries on into New Year's Day as well, and then we go a little bit cooler, but still mild, Sunday into Monday, 2nd, 3rd of January, winds going to the west will be cut off, with an exceptional warmth from south of the Azores, but, you know, it'll still be mild because it's a westerly wind. Moving into the middle part of next week, low pressure moves eastwards, we turn wind into rather cooler, northerly to northeasterly, possibly colder for eastern coast areas. That doesn't last long. By day 10, we're back into westerlies again. Again, not exceptional mild, but, you know, just standard mild with that. And then in more extended range, we begin to go colder again as a trough of low pressure digs southwards. And may start to try and set up a bit of a Scandinavian high, actually, right at the very end of the GFS 6Z. So the midnight GFS run tries to set up high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic and up to Greenland. The 6Z tries to set it up over Scandinavia. So either way, you know, hinting at colder weather for the second week of January. But it's all very extended range, as we saw leading up to Christmas. How seriously do we take that? GEM, again, looking like this, with long fetch southwesterly winds for New Year's Eve, carries on to New Year's Day. Then we cut that off, we go into just a standard mild westerly as we get into the early part of next week. A little bit of a colder blast from the north around Tuesday. That's kind of similar to what Icon and the UK Met is showing. Doesn't take it quite as far as Icon, though. We're already beginning to back wind into west by the 5th of January. And then up to day 10, we're just milder with winds in from a west-southwest direction. Again, that's not exceptional, it's just standard sort of mild weather with the GEM. It's raising the heights a little bit around Newfoundland. Could that, you know, begin to go in the same direction for GFS midnight run beyond day 10? I don't know. And then we get through to the ECM, which looks like this. Again, bringing up that long fetch southwest wind. Oh, if you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button as well, by the way. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much. Right, ECM, with these long fetch southwest winds on New Year's Eve. Looks warm. And that carries on into New Year's Day as well. When low pressure is in off the Atlantic, turns winds into flatter westerly through the early part of next week. A little bit of a cooler snap there around Tuesday to Wednesday as winds go into the north. It's only very brief, but at least it will feel a little bit more like, you know, how it should be feeling in early January. And then by day 10, we're going back into those milder west to southwesterly winds again. That's the 7th of January, of course. This will be precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Lots of rain coming and going over the next few days. And as it's mild, any snow is mostly restricted to the Scottish mountains. Otherwise, we're just looking at quite a bit of wet weather. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensemble today for daytime, which gets us to the 7th of January via the Icelandic Met Office. 12 members of the ECM ensembles look very unsettled with low pressure through the country and bringing winds from the west. That's going to be mild, wet and windy. 11 with high pressure reaching to our south into France from the Azores, low pressure up to the north. So that is unsettled too, flat as a pancake really, but that's even milder as the wind is coming up from quite a southwesterly direction. 11 just here, looking a little bit more interesting. We're going to try to build some higher pressure up towards Scandinavia and get wind into more of an easterly direction, perhaps. And then we've got 10 that have low pressure over into the east of the country, heights rising from the Atlantic up to Greenland. That's trying to go cold, but from more of a northerly direction. And then we've got 7, including the operational run, that just has high pressure quite close to the country, bringing up winds from a mild southwesterly direction by that point. So most of the options look quite mild at day 10. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we have. That's what we've got on the table. So this is the 12th of January. 12 members of the ECM ensembles bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic. So that's still unsettled and relatively mild. 12 with low pressure to our west and also digging southwards with high pressure over Scandinavia. So this high pressure is trying to bring in eastern winds, it's blocking these areas of low pressure, and therefore the jet stream is doing something like that and taking the low pressures in that direction. Depending on how cold the air is, that could be bringing in, you know, colder air from the east, and this low pressure might be providing some snow. Just depends how cold the air is to the east, of course. Then we've got 11, also trying to raise heights over Scandinavia, but not as strongly. So this one is milder. Still unsettled, but bringing in the wind from more of a southerly, southwesterly direction. We've got 11, So let's just move that over there. We've got 11 just here. It looked very, very unsettled, but also relatively mild with winds in from west. And then we've got 5 with high pressure right over top of the country. And so that's probably going to be frost and fog. Range of options there, and there is a possibility it might get a little bit colder through the first week of, through the second week of January, I should say. But it is a minority possibility at this point. Finally, CFS V2 is a 500 millibar height spring down to week periods. The first week period will take us from the 28th of December to the 3rd of January. In the coming week, we'll have high pressure to the south, and low pressure will be away to the north and northwest. Of course, we're pumping up those very, very mild, if not warm, southwesterly to southerly winds. Week 2 is the 4th through to the 10th of January. The high pressure just inching a little bit further westwards and trying to reach northwards. Trough of low pressure is in over northern Europe. We're kind of on the periphery of cold weather. That's definitely bringing cold weather back to Scandinavia and northern Europe. We're on the periphery of that as always. Maybe this will be a winter where we're always on the periphery. You know, have to wait and see. But, you know, it's a little bit, it's certainly cooler anyway back than like week 1. But it's not particularly cold. But cold with that is like over Scandinavia still and northern Europe. The same is true really for week 3, which is the 11th, 17th of January. Again, we have this mid-Atlantic ridge. It is going up towards Greenland. Low pressure through here and going down the east side of Europe. So that will bring very cold air through the eastern side of Europe. And even down into like Greece and Turkey will be very cold. Again, we're on the periphery of that. We just need to take high pressure a little bit further towards the northwest. Centre it around there, perhaps. And then we would open the door to the northerly. As it is a little bit cooler, though. So kind of similar probably to what I had over Christmas. And then this is week 4, which is the 18th to the 24th of January. Low pressure away to the northwest. High pressure ridging to our south, but also to our northeast, where it is really raising the heights, like to the northeast. So could that be starting to get into a very block setup and potentially try and pull the wind into the east, you know, later on in January? I'll just put in some question marks because it's not really apparent there which way that will go. Right, but it's always way, so it's not really worth worrying about. Right, so that's it, we're done. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today's videos. Please like, share, subscribe if you'd like to do that, and don't forget to tell your friends, family about GavsWeatherVids. You will be able to see future weather content if you do that. And thank you so much for doing this for GavsWeatherVids. Right, we're done with today's video. So tomorrow, no USC forecast. That's on back burner for this Christmas week. So tomorrow we'll have 7 AM upload, and again a 10 to 14 day. You enjoy the rest of your bank holiday Tuesday. Christmas bank holiday Tuesday. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.